ya. So for people unfamiliar with me, my name is Nyhmnim, I'm a discussion YouTuber. I want to give a huge thank you to Randy for letting me post on his channel today. Thank you so much, Randy. Enough with the very short introductions. Let's get on to the topic today. Let's talk about Qliphoths. I'm pretty sure that's pronounced, or Qliphoths, or silent Q. I don't fucking know. The new Pendulum monsters that got announced in Next Challenger after Duelist Advent, which is now called Duelist Alliance in the TCG. Good job, TCG. Qliphoths is an archetype that I think is being severely overlooked for what it can potentially do against the next format coming up, the new meta coming up. If you don't know what I'm talking about Shaddolls, obviously, because that shit's just bonkers. And while people are searching for a way to try to combat Shaddolls, they come across one thing in particular, and that is, of course, Monarchs, which we'll discuss in a second, along with Qliphoths, which is something else I want to talk about. So the Qliphoths, they either have a scale 1 through a scale 9, so they get the whole scale in between of 2 through 8. That's big. I guess it's also a fancy thing that all their monsters are neither 1 or 9, so you can special summon all of them if you have the scale complete. Now, while their pendulum effects aren't anything too stellar, as most pendulum effects aren't, their monster effects is what really set them apart. The scale 1 Qliphoths all have the same pendulum effect that all your Qliphoth monsters gain 300 attack. And all the scale 9 Qliphoths all have the one where all your opponent's monsters lose 300 attack. Also, they all have the contingency that you cannot special summon except for Qliphoth monsters, which is pretty much irrelevant for the rest of what they can do. All the Qliphoth monsters, since they are above level 4, they all have the same contingency that you can normal summon them without a tribute, but they become a level 4, and they have 1800 attack, which those stats are irrelevant. Also, they all have the same contingency that if they're special summoned, they're not affected by monster effects activated, whose level is, I think, higher than the level of this card. Also, it counts as ranks too, so it stops XYZs with the same rank as the level. You get the point. And most of them all have effects that activate when they're tributed, which is the important ones we're going to talk about. We're going to skip one of them because it's complete trash, but we're going to focus on these ones that have the tribute effect. So there's pretty much two big ones. There's Qliphoth Archive, which is a level 6, so it works with the Pendulum, and when it's tributed, you get to return one monster from the field to the hand. And the other level 6 Genome is one where it's tributed, you get to pop one spell and trap on the field. So for people that can't realize it themselves, the Qliphoth archetype essentially revolves around creating infinite tribute fodder by using the Pendulum summoning mechanic, which is a very, very fragile mechanic. However, the way this archetype executes it is actually pretty phenomenal. So the two level 6s, Archive and Genome, these ones are essentially your tribute fodder that you'll be special summoning most of the time in order to sack them off to get effects and then bring out like a Monarch or something. Quick example, if I Pendulum summon in Genome and the Archetype and then I sack them both off for Grand Marg, the Mega Monarch, I get to pop 2 set cards, and then I get to draw 1 card because of the additional. And then not only that, I get the effect to pop an extra spell and trap, and I get the effect to return 1 monster to hand because of Archetype and Genome's effect. Now, while all these effects seem decent, so remember, we're playing Pendulums. The fact that we have to complete a scale in order to bring out these Pendulums, and we have to get them initially in the extra deck or to our hand to just bring them out in the first place, to then get fodder for something we may not have in hand, aka a Monarch, aka Shell, aka whatever else you want to tribute for, Lightning Darkness Dragon, which is probably bad in this deck, but nevertheless, it's an example. So what makes Qliphoths that special? What makes them different from everything else that actually makes them worth talking about compared to the rest of the Pendulums that still suck? And as surprising it may be, it's actually a Nilla monster that really wraps the whole thing together. Qliphoth Toll, which is a level 5, and it's a Nilla. Its Pendulum effect is you can only special summon Qliphoths, it's the same contingency as all of them. But the thing that really pops this thing out, I guess that's a good thing to say, is that once per turn, you can pay 800 life points to add a Qliphoth monster from your deck to your hand. One monster is literally wrapping all this pile of shit together. So Stratos for Qliphoths. Why is this good in particular? Because it also is a scale maker, a 1-card scale. When discussing Pendulums with someone and why I tell them it's bad still, I normally tell them it's because of the hand setup you have during your first turn. Normally the example I give is, okay, say for instance you have your scale in your hand. You have the 1, you have the 9, you activate them both. Maybe I have a spell or 2 spells and maybe what? 1 to 2 monsters you get to actually Pendulum summon on the board. Why not just normal summon? However, this 1 card, Tool, literally solves that all problem. Because I can easily just go, okay, activate Tool as the 9, pay 800, grab the other one, complete the scale, Pendulum summon what else I have in my hand. Or, if I open up my googly eye, Odd Eyes Pendulum Dragon, fucking Christ. If I open up my Odd Eyes Pendulum Dragon and I activate it and sack it for tool, which I can search, then I can do the exact same thing, all with one card. So while that does solve the problem of completing a scale, not using as many resources as playing other Pendulum-wise decks, I also do like the fact that this deck is able to easily play around the contingency of not being able to special summon except for Qliphoths. Monarch players, be happy because this is where you come in. So I already discussed that Genome and Archive are pretty much the Treeborn Frogs of the archetype. They keep coming back during the main phase when you decide to Pendulum summon. Also, unlike Treeborn Frog, you get effects as soon as you sack him to get the pop shit and return shit. Oh, it's so good. So why is actually mentioning the Monarchs a good idea? It's because of Shadal's next format. I'm sure you've all heard of Shadal Midrash, that thing that doesn't allow you to special summon more than once per turn. Well, here, allow me to blow your mind here real quick. Pendulum summoning is all one inherent special summon. Therefore, what that means is I can go, okay, main phase 1, Pendulum summon, bring out Genome, Archive. That's my special summon for the turn. Sack for MegaCapitalG, sack for regular Kais, because MegaCapitalG isn't released yet, actually. Get that fucking Midrash out of here. So whilst every other deck pretty much is trying to figure out a damn way to get around Midrash, you're pretty much golden all the time. Also, you know, if you want to sack for Grand Marg or something, pop 2, draw 1, you know, let's remember, Archive activating in the graveyard, they'll still return shit to hand. So Midrush can still get the fuck out of there. I'm pretty sure Konami knew what the fuck they were doing when they released this shit to combat Shadal's. No one's realized it yet, but I'm letting you know now. I don't know if Konami's still trying to make it a pure Qliphoth archetype, but it works hella better with Monarch support. But the only thing holding that back is the fact that you can't use any of the Monarch support they're giving you with it. Let's just imagine how insane it could be if you could use March of the Monarchs or Return of the Monarchs, I think of Return of the Monarchs, with the fact that you can Pendulum summon an infinite amount of fog. Because with the support they're giving you, you're A, not allowed to use Treeborn Frog because you're using a continuous spell, and also, since they give you the contingency that you're not allowed to special summon the extra deck, you can't use Qliphoths either. So why the fuck is Konami giving us all this irrelevant Monarch support? I don't know. Good thing is we don't need it because now we have Qliphoths to work with. So as I've already put on the table, we got the one card Pendulum scale. We've got the ways to search it out with Odd Eyes. We've got the infinite tribute fodder for all the Monarchs and the shell. Oh my god, it's so good. Let's talk about the faults. And the faults in general is maintaining your scale. I've already made it a point to bring out the fact that I think Pendulum summoning is still a fragile, flimsy way to attempt to create a deck. Well, this deck does solve one of the main problems, it still doesn't solve the other main problem, which is probably just as bad. And there's just so many ways to answer a Pendulum scale that it's not even funny. If Pendulums do become a thing at all, in the slightest bit, we have so many ways to stop it. You know, we've got Full House, we've got Mystical Space Typhoon, we've got Artifact Movement, we've got all this shit to stop it. And for Pendulum summoning in general, if you're focusing a deck around it, it's so fragile and you're always so dependent on trying to get the scale to go through to actually make plays. Because otherwise, like I've mentioned before, you're playing with cards that have mediocre monster effects when you normal summon. And especially with the Qliphoths, they're all level 5 or higher, so you're gonna have to sack something in the normal summon one, and they don't get effects when they're normal summoned. Sorry to be a Debbie Downer with all the Pendulum hype, and especially with the ones I'm giving to Qliphoths, but I still believe Pendulum summoning in general is a flimsy game mechanic that just I don't think may ever succeed. Until we get a way to maintain the scale you have, and no, I'm not talking about with the stupid magician, the level 3 and the level 5 dude. Those dudes suck. Until we get like built-in ways to protect scales and keep them on the board successfully, I don't think Pendulum summoning will ever take off. Because let's imagine you do get your one card scale setup. You know, I activate Tool and the shit gets Mystical Space Typhoon, and they just be like, ha! Bitch. And then you're stuck waiting until you can get another tool to hand to actually make a play. Doesn't matter if all the shit goes back to the extra deck. If I can't get it out of there with making a scale, what's it doing in there? But still, I believe strongly, Qliphoths are the new way to play Monarchs. You gotta let go of Treeborn Frogs to progress. Now you can play back row. Now you have infinite fodder. Now you have fodder that actually does something when it's sacked. It's all good. And especially in a format that's going to be written in Shadal's. This is going to be like the shining light to stop it. So while in my eyes the game mechanic may never be good, they sure made a hell of a good archetype to work with it. Now let's make all the Monarch support actually work with extra decks so we can use Pendulum summoning. Please, Konami? Otherwise, just stop making this shit. Just make Mega Monarchs. We'll work with those. If you guys liked the video, be sure to like the video, thumbs up the video. Everyone express that you enjoyed the video. If you enjoyed this video and you want to see more discussion, I'm sure you like Randy's discussions, so you probably like mine. You know, mosey on over to my channel. I'm sure Randy will be gracious enough to link it below. And, you know, subscribe for more Yu-Gi-Oh discussion. It's all good stuff, I guarantee, if you check it out down there. It's all muy bueno. However, again, thank you, Randy, for letting me post today. And I'll catch you guys later. Nyhmnim out.